Draw. Draw. Ready. Draw. Ready. Draw. Draw. Ready. Draw. Let it draw.
Mic check 1 2. We're about to get started here. When does this start? Starting right now. Let's get it. See if y'all can see me. About to get started. Nice. Sorry about the delay. We had some difficulties with our Wi-Fi over here, studio. We got everything up and running, and we're about to get started here. And so, you know, man, you know what's crazy is like this message goes out to quite a bit of technicians that signed up to meet up on this Wednesday. And a lot of times what happens is they get consumed, and they kind of get what's the word, they get distracted with life, you know what I mean, life, and just other activities. And so what happens is it delays the process of them moving forward with accomplishing some goals, you know. So I have these every Wednesday, and I'm available through Instagram for DM me directly if you have any questions concerning the transition between, you know, a technician and being a shop owner. It's two different worlds, and I can tell you this because I've experienced this. Coming from my background as a custom painter, uh, you know, I started off at the body shop as a porter, worked my way up. Uh, I started doing you know, body work. I started doing a little bit of painting, and then I got introduced to custom painting, and so that really kind of you know, sparked my interest. We turn these lights on right here. Let's get some light. Check this out, guys. Boom, boom. Is that better? So, like I said, I got introduced to custom painting, and I got introduced to candy, and man, that opened up a whole different world, and it allowed me to kind of explore that whole custom world, and I had fun with it. Matter of fact, if you were to go back to my YouTube channel and look up, go to filter and go to most popular videos, you'll find some of the custom work that I did, and it was pretty fun, man. We had some good times going to car shows and stuff like that, and living that life. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I was doing custom painting. It was myself running the shop at the time. The shop was called South Texas Custom, and we did airbags, we did Lambo doors, suicide hood. We did the metal flake. We did man, you name it. Like, it was anything custom. We did interiors, speaker boxes, fiberglass boxes, pop trunk, fifth wheels, uh, the Big Daddy grills, all, man. We did it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we did everything. The Apple Red screens behind my head. Uh, you know, that was my business, right? And what happened was, you know, I started to explore. What really kind of took off kind of crazy was let me see what's going on with this. What was kind of crazy is I hold on. What was kind of crazy was that I wanted to figure out how to create a website, right, for our company, for it was South Texas Custom. And so insurance repair work was like kind of like always a thing. Like we always enjoyed doing insurance work because they paid like right there, and it was real easy to fix. And it was like, you know, you're doing custom work and then someone comes in and says, "Hey, I got an insurance claim. Can you fix it?" And you go in there and you make that money real quick, and then you kind of make the money and you're gone, right? And so whenever we're deciding to do our website, the designer was like, "Hey man, I'm having some issues because you're a custom shop, but you're trying to do insurance claims." And so he's like, "It doesn't the company doesn't make sense because your marketing, you're like your name says this, but you're trying to attract this." And so I was like, "Well, can we do a separate page for that?" And so when they first did our website, you know, we had like a bunch of like custom cars on there. It was kind of like if you went to the website, you wouldn't really know, you wouldn't really know what it was, right? And so uh it kind of made me look at the business a little different, right? And he's like, you know, it doesn't make sense, you know, for you to be a custom shop, but you're trying to attract insurance claims. And so it got me thinking, right? And so that kind of sparked the interest, like, hey, like what how am I gonna market this business, right? And so a couple years passed and the website wasn't really like a big success or anything. And so it faded out. And a couple years later, I went to a business conference. I think it was my first. It was kind of one of my first business conference, right? And the idea of business kind of like started to really like kind of it interests me. It really interests me, like the whole fact of how to do business, right? Long story short, we rebranded the company and we went in a different direction. We built the brand. We built we bought the building. We hired some people. We got systems in place. We got uh, funding. We got like marketing. Like we figured all that out, right? And so the purpose of this podcast and the purpose of this video is to share those things with you and share kind of some of those obstacles that I went through to kind of get to the point where, hey, you know what? Now we're actually have a foundation that we can actually build off of, or we can decide which direction we want to go. And that's currently where we're at. Like we're kind of like in the stage of, okay, where do we want to take this business now? You know, what do we want to do with this business? Because uh a lot of times if you're not aware of what's going on in your business, or you're not aware of the industry, or you're not aware of like just your time, uh you could be at that business for a long time and you'll get burnt out, or you'll just be like, man, like I've been doing this forever and I don't see no exit, right? So the business is interesting. It's fun. It's exciting. There's different things every day. But today we're going to talk about. I have some notes here on my phone. Today we're going to talk about. We can bring those up. How'd you like the intro music, man? How'd you like the intro music? Let me know what you thought about the intro music. Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can do this on here, and then I'm gonna maybe go live on my TikTok, because we always have questions on TikTok that are pretty cool. And so, oh, here it is. I'm gonna go live on TikTok. I'm not sure they'll be able to hear me, but maybe. Anyway, we're live on TikTok, and let me go here real quick. One of the questions that we're gonna talk about today on the live is let me bring my notes up. See if I can trying to multitask here. Work with me, guys. I want to bring up the whiteboard, but I don't want it to. I don't want it to. You know what? I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm gonna put the question in the chat, and then how do I do this? How do I do this? Let me see. How do Oh, chat right here. Okay. So I'm gonna put the question in the chat, and the question is, what are the common price? Look, uh, the question today. The question today is, what are the common pricing mistakes that shop owners make, and how can they be avoided? Okay. So today we're going to talk about. Let me know if you can hear me on the TikTok. Today we're going to talk about what are the common price mistakes that shop owners make, and how can they be avoided? All right. So some of the pricing mistakes that shops make, or they're not doing a proper estimates, right? And so if you're the probably let's go, we're gonna go basic and then we'll go a little bit more advanced, right? So the basic is let's just say you're a one man show, right? And you have a full-time job and you're doing this on the weekend, okay? And people hit you up, says, hey man, I want to get my car painted, I want to get this fixed, I want to do this or whatever, right? And so you're like, well, send me a picture and I'll give you a price. And so you're doing estimates, just visual estimates, and you're doing verbal estimates. So you're saying, yeah, it should be about this much, or it should be about this much, or whatever, right? You're not taking the time to break down what it's actually going to cost you, right? So one of the ways that you can do this, just to kind of keep it very simple, is you can go to Office Depot, right? And just buy some cheap invoices. They're going to be like a repair receipt or the invoice, all right? And so on the invoice, I want you to make sure that you're putting the person's name, their phone number, their address, the VIN number of the vehicle, and the license plate, the make, as much information as you can, all right? Then you're going to put a description of what they want done, right? So if they want, let's just say they want a complete paint job, right? And so you're going to put body time. You're going to put, okay, you put body, and you're going to put how many hours it's going to require you to do the body work and to maybe R&I any of the trim, any of the bumpers, any of that stuff, right? So let's just say, for example, you're going to be like, okay, well, it has a bunch of dings on it. I'm going to have to R&I the bumpers, the grills, the lights, the mirrors, the handles, the belt moldings. We're going to have to do the door jambs. We might have to take out the doors. So that's probably about maybe like a weekend work. So let's just say that's going to be average, maybe 5 hours a day. That's maybe 20 hours, right? So you're going to put 20 hours body time. And it could be 20, it could be up to 25, maybe even 30 hours, okay? You're going to put the 30 times at least $60 an hour. So it'll be 30 times 60, okay? That's going to give you the body labor amount, okay? Then you're going to go to paint. How much time is it going to take you to paint, okay? You got to block it, you got to prime it, you got to block it, you have to tape it, you have to spray it, you have to buff it, maybe if you're going to re-clear it or whatever, right? So you could put, okay, another 25 hours. So you're going to do 25 times 60, okay? That's going to give you another number, okay? What we did was we just calculated how much body time is going to be and how much labor time is going to be, okay? Now we're going to say, okay, what material am I going to need? So you're going to maybe write, you're going to need a gallon of clear. You're going to probably need a gallon of paint, sealer, a quart of primer, masking paper, tape, plastic, whatever, right? So you're going to call the paint store and you're going to say, hey, I need a quote. I need a quote on this material. And so they're going to give you a quote. Okay. So because you're not, because maybe you're not set up as a vendor yet, they're probably not going to give you a discount. So you might be paying list price. Okay. I know if you tell them, hey, I'm a vendor, they might be able to help you with a little discount. I know O'Reilly's has they have a commercial department that they also sell some material. Napa does as well. You might want to call around and see where you can kind of get set up as a vendor to get these discounts. They can print out a price quote for you, and they can hold that quote number on file. So, for example, now you're going to put the material cost there. The material cost is going to be 850. Okay. So now you have your body, you have your paint, you have your material cost there, right? Okay, got it. So there's two things you can do here once you have your material cost. You can have the customer go buy the stuff for you, because you can be like, hey, I'm gonna need you to go buy the material for me. Or you can say, hey, you can give me the money and go buy it. Okay. Or if they say, hey, you know what? Why don't you buy the material and I'll just pay you back? Okay. If you're gonna have to buy the material out of your money, you're gonna need to mark it up. You're gonna need to mark up that material you have to pay, because now you're having to use your money to buy that material. So you can mark it up 15%. So you can do 850 times 15%, and that's gonna give you a markup. Okay. So now you're marking up the material because you're having to use the money out of your pocket. Maybe you're having to pay with your credit card. So remember, like, all those fees are gonna add up. Okay. So follow me here. We have we have your body, we have your paint, and then now we have material. Okay. And so the option is going to be like, they're going to buy it, or you're going to have to buy it. If you have to buy it, you're going to mark it up 15% or 10%, whatever you feel comfortable with, because you're going to have to use your money. You're going to have to use your credit card. You're going to have to pay whatever fees or whatever, right? So you're going to have to use your money. Okay. The next thing is going to be miscellaneous stuff. Okay. Miscellaneous stuff is going to be like, okay, are you going to have to get some wheels installed? Are you going to have to get the windows tinted? Are you going to have to get the glass pulled out? Uh, any miscellaneous stuff that might need to be done on that vehicle, you want to write it under miscellaneous. Okay. And what we're doing is we're making an itemized price, an itemized invoice, or an itemized list of operations that we need to do in this vehicle. And because you're doing this, now you're going to be able to see where your money's at, because so for example, on the paint and body, if you're doing all that yourself, that's going to be all profit. So that's going to be all profit. The only expenses you'll have is you're going to have your material expense, and usually the customer will pay for that, or any miscellaneous stuff. So miscellaneous stuff will be like, hey man, I wanted to see if I can go ahead and get a windshield put on while y'all get it painted. Or if you suggest, hey, you know what? Whenever we paint this, we're gonna have to pull the glass out, because it's gonna be better to paint it with the glass off versus the glass in, right? So that's gonna be miscellaneous charges that you'll put under there. So that's gonna be the basic way to get started if you're trying to do jobs outside your house. Okay. The next step up would probably be to get a software. It's called WebEst. That's one of the cheapest ones that you can get. It's called WebEst. It's an estimating system that you're doing. Okay. So once you start getting into insurance claims, it's a little bit different, because you're gonna need to verify prices. Okay. And so what I would suggest is, if you're a small guy, you're maybe just doing a couple insurance claims a week, or maybe you're doing one a month, or whatever the case. I would highly recommend you to link up with someone that has like a good estimating system. And for example, like, let's just say you say, hey Stan, like, I actually help a couple of shop owners out, like, throughout I think a couple guys in California, one guy's in Jersey, and they're small shops, right? But what we do is they'll be like, hey Stan, I got this insurance estimate, but I don't have an estimating system. Can you review this estimate for me and supplement it and send it back to me? And what I'll do is I'll look at the photos, and I'll say, look, they're missing this, and this, and I'll add it to his estimate, and then I'll send it back. But I'll send it back with maybe his letterhead on it, right? So Rick has the numbers. Have you ever used a program called Romy, and do you recommend it? I'm not sure what Romy is. Is that an estimating system? Rick asked the question: Is Romy, is that an estimating system? What is that, Rick? It's a management system. Is it management for the auto body or what? Is it just a matter? Is it management for the auto body shop or just for mechanic shop or what is that? And so, okay, so remember, guys. So we have the first one's gonna be you can go to Office Depot and get those invoices out. And one important thing with CDK mainly for dealerships and fixed operations. So collision service department. So Rick, so that system might be linked up. Uh, it might be linked up with the overall management of the business. So for example, like they can see how many hours are flagged, and they can see how many hours. Uh, so that's more for on a bigger scale for the data. So for someone starting a shop, Rick, that's for probably like let's just say if you have multiple locations and you want to see what the percentages of their P&Ls are, you want to see what the percentage of their material cost is. You want to keep an eye on those percentages because see most big companies like that, like for example, like the calipers, the collision kings, the dealerships, all they like if you notice, like if you ever met someone that works at the dealership, they like, dude, like the dealership don't give a shit about people. All they care about is the number. All they care about is making our quota or making our whatever, right? It's because the upper management, what they're looking at is they're looking at the percentages. They're not looking at how the culture is. They're not looking at how everybody's health is. They're not looking at if everybody's working 24/7. They're looking at those percentages. So for example, on the parts, they have to make a percentage of that. On the materials, they have to make a percentage of that. On the labor, they have to make a percentage of that. And over if those percentages are on point, that means the business is making money. So as long as the business is making money, they don't really give a shit about anything else, right? So they're more worried about those percentages versus the health of the business because like the way that big businesses work, like look, check this out. I'm gonna show you how the inside game works. So let's just say, for example, a dealership or like a big box collision company, right? We got a little bit off track, but I'm gonna share this with you. Let's just say, for example, like a big box collision shop, right? Like the calipers or the collision kings or whatever, right? Or the what other ones are they? There's a bunch of them, right? There's several of them. Okay, so let's just say, for example, they get DRP work, right? They get direct repair work from the insurance company, all right? So now the insurance company says, "Hey, uh, we're estimating that we're gonna send you 300 cars this year, based on past history based on our data, right? Okay, so let's just say 300 cars, average repair is 3,500, right? So they do the math. Remember, they're under contract. They have this agreement, right? So that what that is, that's kind of like money already guaranteed to that company. So that company's probably guaranteed a couple million, right, from that insurance company. So now what the company does is they go to the bank and they say, "Hey, we have these contracts and they're guaranteeing us that we're gonna make at least 2 million off this contract, 2 million off this contract, 2 million off that contract." And so because we have these guarantees from these insurance companies, we want to get a loan against that. We want to leave this as collateral and we want to pull some money out. And so they pull that money out against that paper, and then they reinvest that into other bigger assets that generate more income. So it's about a numbers game for them. That's why if you talk to someone that's been in a dealership or someone that's been in one of those big companies, they're like, dude, like this place fucking sucks. Like no one gives a shit about each other. Everybody's for themselves. And it's because of that. Like that they're playing a bigger game that no one really knows about, right? So I just wanted to share that with you. But so like I was saying, like there's three ways you can do the estimates if you're charting off at your house. Okay, you can do the invoicing one, and the most important thing that I'm gonna say is like every time that I talk about this, I say this. Whenever someone agrees for you to fix their vehicle, make sure that they sign an agreement. So you're gonna have your body time, your paint time, your material time, your miscellaneous, and then you're gonna make them sign an agreement saying that they're agreeing to pay you that. Okay. You can get it, you can even go into more detail whenever you put the body. You can put, okay, I'm gonna have to R&I the trims, I'm gonna have to do the body work on the fender, I'm gonna have to remove the doors, the handles. So you want to put all that on there so they know exactly what you're doing, because a lot of times if you just throw a number out there in your head, it might sound like a good number, but 9 times out of 10, whenever you get into that job, you're like, man, I undercharge these people. I undercharge them. You know what I'm saying? And it's because you didn't do a proper estimate. You didn't take the time to look at the thing. And a lot of times what's happening is if someone is going to you and saying, hey, how much would you charge me to paint this vehicle? And you're giving them a verbal estimate, you're not really breaking it down. You don't know if they got a written estimate from somewhere else that like double. So if they got an estimate for someone else for 5,000 and you're over here telling them 3,000, like, man, like this dude, like he's missing out on 2 grand because this place was going to charge us 5, all because you didn't do the numbers right. So it's going to be very important, man, to grow your shop. You know what I mean? Once you start getting into insurance claims, uh, you can really lose out on a lot of money, because see, those adjusters, they're not really writing accurate estimates because they just need to get the job started. And so remember, 85% of claims don't get fixed. So because 85 to 90% of claims don't get fixed, why would the insurance write an accurate estimate? Like, it doesn't make sense. So they're like, you know what? They're not going to fix it anyway. So why not just write a preliminary estimate? You know what I mean? And if they keep the money, they keep the money. That's their fault. You understand? So if you're in a situation where you're dealing with claims and you don't have the CCC, or you don't have the Mitchell, or you don't have any estimating system, I would suggest that you reach out to a shop or someone that has a shop and says, hey man, would you help me with this estimate? Will you help me with this supplement? Just to get like a second pair of eyes on it. If you don't have access to that information, because on the Mitchell, whenever we pull up the Mitchell, it breaks down all the R&I time. So I don't know so on the Mitchell and CCC one, right? If you're looking at an estimate, okay, when you look at an insurance estimate, if they change the labor route, the labor amount number, it's gonna have a star next to it, okay. And whenever you have that estimating system, and what we do is we do a process called mirroring the estimate. We mirror the estimate. So basically, what we do is we get the insurance estimate, right, and then we copy that estimate into our. So let's just say the insurance has CCC, right, or they have Mitchell. It doesn't matter, okay. Once they give us a copy of that estimate, we get that estimate, and then we copy it into our Mitchell or CCC. We copy it word for word, right? But whenever you're copying it, it tells you if the labor rate was changed. So, for example, a lot of these insurance companies, what they'll do, let's just say if a bumper overhaul is 3.4 hours, right? They'll change it to 2 hours. And the only way you're going to know that is whenever you're starting to mirror it, you'll see the asterisk there. You'll see something there stating that they changed the number on it, right? And so now you know, okay, these guys are changing the numbers here. And so that's an indicator to tell you, okay, you know what, something's off here. So now you have to go through the estimate, and then what we do is like we do a process where we lock the estimate. And so basically, like, we copy it word for word, even if their numbers are off. We copy it word for word, and then we lock it. Okay, we lock it so that it's a hard copy. Okay, now we reopen it but now it's a supplement one because it shows all the changes that we made to their estimate. And so what we're looking at is we're looking at their estimate, and then we're looking at the additional items that they left off, and that's supplement one. So that way, when you send it to the insurance company, when you send it back to them, now they know exactly what you're talking about because it's labeled as S1. Versus, I remember when we first started off, we didn't have an estimating system. We didn't have none of that. So whenever we got an insurance job, we would call the adjuster out, and they will come out and they will say, "Hey, what do you need?" And I'll be like, and it was always more time. Hey, we just need more time on this radiator support, or we need to replace the radiator support, or we need more. This frame's kind of bent. And we didn't know exactly what the accurate price was, so we were just kind of like winging it. But now what happened was they weren't. So the thing with the insurance company is that they're not going to tell you if you're wrong. So for example, if something takes 5 hours or it takes 10 hours to replace, and you tell them that you need 4 hours, they can say, okay, you need 4. I'll give you 4. But they know it needs 10. But they're not going to tell you because you're supposed to be the expert. So that's why it's important to either get an estimating system or work with someone that has access to that, right? And so that's why we offer the mentor group, or we all offer the alliance. The Body Shop Alliance is basically just a group of people that they can connect with me. They can let me look at estimates. They can let me look at, hey, I'm dealing with this supplement. I'm dealing with this insurance company, or I have this issue. How do I deal with that? And we can get on a quick call, either maybe through text or even I'll call them directly, and we'll walk through the process of what needs to be done so they can kind of, deal with that situation. But those are going to be some of the things that you can do to kind of fix these pricing mistakes, from the shop owners. So like I said, start to take some time and just write things out. You know what I mean? Just write things out, exactly what needs to be done. You already know what needs to be done because you've done it, 100 times. So just write it out. And now once you see, you're like, man, it's going to be quite a bit of work. I talked to a lot of technicians that have, side shops, or they have, they do side jobs, and it never fails. Like someone will be like, hey, I want you to restore my vehicle. I want you to do this, this and that. And they give them a price of 5,000 and it sounds good. But now they had the vehicle for 4 months. And I'm like, dude, like you had that vehicle for 4 months and you're not even halfway done yet. He already paid you half. And I was like, how many hours? Like, I go, how many hours do you think you worked on that vehicle? And so they're like, man, it's been a lot because I come at night. Then some days on Saturdays. If I have time on Sundays, I'll come. I was like, calculate how many hours you worked on that vehicle, and then divide it by what you charge them. And all like this, they get pissed off because all the time it comes out to like $6-7 an hour. They're like, damn, like, dude, I'm making $6 or $7 an hour on this job. And I was like, yeah, because you didn't price it right. You didn't price it right, or it was more than you can take on. And so you overcommitted to something, and now you're having to pay for it. And I was like, you could have made that money just working at McDonald's. You probably would have made more working at McDonald's on the weekend, and you won't have this headache. You know what I'm saying? Now you have this headache, and you got to get rid of it. So a couple options that I always suggest is like, I'm like, look, I said, the best thing you can do, man, is so I'll give you some game on that too. Like if you have a job, let's say you have a job that you charge the guy $5,000 or $6,000, and you have a full-time job. So this job is sitting at your house or sitting at a shop you rent, and it's just there, and it's called a dead cow because the guy probably gave you half of the money already, and maybe you're still doing the body work on it. You haven't even got to paint yet, and you're like, man, I just need to get rid of this car so I can start fresh. What I would suggest, finish the body work on it, make sure the body works right, and give the guy back his car and give him back his money. That way he's not losing at all, and you take that loss, but you're going to make it back up because you get that vehicle out. So it's a lesson learned. And most guys won't do that won't do this because they're like, no, I'm just gonna finish it. I have too much pride. But I mean, think about this: like, how many more jobs can you get in and out? Now, and how you'll make better decisions on jobs because of this job. So take it as a learning lesson and say, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, you know what? I didn't price correctly. This job turned out to be a nightmare. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish the body work on it, make sure it's ready for paint, and I'm gonna give the guy all his money back, and I'm gonna take a loss on it. That way, the guy doesn't feel like you're kind of trying to rip him off. You're like, dude, I'm giving your car back with the body work, and here's your money. Like, go get it painted somewhere else. Now you have the body work done for free, and you have all the money. You can afford to get it painted somewhere else, and let someone else deal with it. Let someone else deal with it, and get other jobs that are going to cash flow. Get other jobs that you can get in and out a lot faster than these huge restoration jobs that you don't have time to do. You know, so that's going to be one way to avoid uh common pricing mistakes, right? Another thing I can tell you to do that'll make you more efficient with your area is don't store junk vehicles or don't store old parts. If there's something that's damaged or something that you might be able to reuse, like, just get rid of it, man. Because what's gonna happen? Let's say you have a place that you're able to fit 4 cars in there, right? You're able to fit 4 cars in there, right? And you decide to take on your buddy's vehicle that he's like, you take your time on it, take as long as you want or whatever. I'll pay you in payments. So now you're down to 3 spots. Okay. Then you decide to be a hoarder and you're saving all these parts. You have all this extra paint material there. You have, maybe the kid's dirt bike and you have a barbecue pit. You have all this shit right there. So now you're down to 2 spots. So what you're doing is you're bottlenecking your work area. You're bottlenecking that to where eventually it gets down to 1 spot. So now you have a place that fits 4 cars, but now you're only able to work in 1 spot because you bottlenecked yourself. So stop and look around. Just kind of stop and look around. Every time I work with shop owners and guys that are like, man, I'm really trying to take my business to the next level. I say, okay, let's look at your place. And I'm like, dude, you have a bunch of junk everywhere. Like you have a bunch of junk. Yeah, but you know what? Those headlights, we might need them, or that bumper, it was still a good bumper. Like, you got to let that shit go, man. We've had hoods that, for example, we ordered a new hood for a Tahoe. And it was the wrong model, right? And we couldn't return it. And we took a loss. Like, we could have saved it. We could have, said, let's put it on eBay and let's try to sell it. And this, and we started, you don't want to hoard your stuff. Like, you got to just kick yourself in the ass and say, man, like, I fucked up, and learn from that mistake and keep moving and keep your place efficient. Like, keep it efficient. So every spot that you have is making money, the inside and the outside, not just the inside, the outside as well. You don't want to have any junk shit out there anyway. And so what I tell people too is, like, think of it like this. So most people, a lot of people nowadays, they're OCD. Like, they say, man, I'm OCD. Everything has to be clean. I'm a neat freak. Everything has to be in order. So if your work area or if your shop is in order, it just says a lot about your company that they're more organized. Because look, when everything's like all over the place, it creates anxiety, not only on your employees, but on customers, because it's like, man, how do they work in that place? I can't even, like, it gives me anxiety. So whenever you have a clean environment, it actually makes your customers feel more comfortable because they know it's a clean place. And so also too, like, you can actually, like, walk them in your place. It doesn't matter the size of your place, whether it's big or small. It's all about the standard. It's all about the standard that you carry for yourself, right? In your company. So you might have a shop that only fits 2 cars on there, right? Who cares? Treat it like it's a place that fits 50 cars. Have your standards of how you want to clean, how you want to organize, and don't stop until you accomplish that. If you see something out of place, stop and say, I'm gonna keep this organized. If someone comes in and say, hey, this is the standards of our operation, this is how we operate, this is our organization, we have a higher standard here because, you know, one day when we move into a bigger place, we want to make sure that we still have those, you know, clean, organized habits, right? Okay, another thing too, to avoid common pricing mistakes that shop owners make is gonna be is buying too much material, buying too much paint material, and so and also it's called cocktailing, right? So cocktailing is when you're buying material, all different brands, and maybe you're using like a Transtar primer, you're using a PBG clear, you're using a Nason base, like you're using all these different products, and so that's costing you more money. You know, it's costing you more money. Another thing that costs more money is buying cheap material. Buying cheap material actually costs you more money because you're having to use more of it, and that's their game. Like they're like, you know what, like yeah, it's cheaper, but you're gonna have to buy more of it. So it's kind of like Supreme, right? Like Supreme gas is the best gas versus regular, right? You can put regular gas, it's gonna be cheaper, but it also burns faster. And so you're gonna have to refuel a lot faster with regular unleaded versus Supreme because Supreme's a better gas. So it's the same thing with material. If you're buying cheap material, you're buying more and more material. So you want to avoid that mistake as well. So we're about to jump off of this thing. So I hope everybody had got some value out of this episode. And if you're watching and you found some value in this, please give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe to our channel. We do this every Thursday. I'm actually live on Zoom over here with some of our guests. We do this every Thursday. They get an email alert about the live Zoom, and also you can get the link on the link the tree link. So if you go to my bio, on the very bottom you'll see free Zoom call, right? That's the Wednesday Zoom call. You're welcome to get on. You're welcome to ask questions. You're welcome to connect with me on Instagram, and we can connect there if you have any issues with growing your place. If you're starting off as a technician, you're trying to get your feet, you know, going, you're trying to get on the ground, reach out to us. We can give you some pointers. We also have the Body Shop Business Conference coming up, and we have some great people that are going to speak on that. People that are running a successful shop, people that have built a shop, sold the shop, have ventured into other assets. So that's pretty exciting too, just to kind of to get their take on, hey, if you were to do anything different, starting over, what would you do different? How to approach DRP shops, right? What a DRP? Do you want to be a DRP, or what is that something? Maybe not, right? Or do you want to stay independent? We're looking to find someone that's really good at branding. Maybe like if you have a custom shop and you're trying to brand your custom shop, you want to stand out. Maybe like a West Coast, remember like a West Coast choppers, maybe like a West Coast Customs. They built a brand for themselves and they're able to leverage that brand with merchandise. So how did they do that, right? So the Auto Body Business Conference, we're going to be going over a bunch of that stuff. The link is also in the bio if you're interested on that. I ask you, please sign up. You will get value from it. You will not miss out. Like you will not miss out. Let's just say you say, man, you know what? I bought a ticket, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it. You will get a recording of it. You will get a recording, and you will get access to myself for any of your questions. So you won't be left out. So this is not an event where like, oh, well, you missed out. Like we understand that you're technicians, you're trying to feed your family, you're trying to get your business going, you're trying to get work done. So you might not have time to commit to watch this thing, but just by committing a couple of dollars and getting a ticket, getting a seat, you will reserve your spot to reach out to us and help us on your path to success. All right, guys. So next time, I'll see y'all later, man.